Hello everybody, the name is Lumberlair Jr. and I am here with a back-to-back interview with Nikita Page, back-to-back VNDETTA. Well, and shout out Adam Ward, you absolutely killed on the guitar as well. They have just got done with their sets for the very first ever Odyssey series that's happening in NYC in the Brooklyn Monarch. And I have to ask, are you the one who was kind of in charge of creating the Odyssey series?
Some would say that, yes. That was my brainchild. I wanted to make a show for basically, all my homies in the industry. If you notice, most of the people in the crowd today are all industry people. Mm-hmm. There were obviously fans, but a lot of people here were just people that work in the industry and love music, and I wanted to bring all those people together. So we created the Odyssey series with a partnership with Neon Owl and Groove Cruise. Hopefully one of many. This is an amazing venue, so we're so excited to be here.
I am so happy and blessed that you guys are here to bless us with your power, bless us with your music and trying to give something to the community, something else to give to the community, and to choose Brooklyn Monarch, a legendary venue. Thank you. Absolutely thank the both of you so much. Since you're the one who's kind of the head honcho of the whole Odyssey series, I'm curious to know, for you to get to this point of you creating this Odyssey series, you being part of Groove Cruise, having all these type of connections, it didn't begin that way. No. You had to, of course, work your way up to this level to be able to do something as incredible as this.
Yeah.
If only we can look back and tell the certain person almost 12, 13 years ago, look how beautiful you were. Look how beautiful you were.
That was actually a photo from one of my first sets ever when I was 15 years old.
Oh, yes.
And also,
here's the thing.
I turned 30 tonight, so it's been 15 years.
It's 15 years. I am so sorry to show you that on your birthday.
That's a throwback.
So, but here's the thing. That was one of your first sets. Not to mention, you weren't really Nikita Page at the time. You went by another name.
What do you get?
Remember this? You remember this?
DJ Infinite. Yeah, I remember.
When you were just Infinite.
Yes. Oh God, why was an infant?
Not to mention, this is during a time where, you were still doing a bit of music, but at the same time, you're really into making lighting, trying to make sure you will bring the ambiance to the stage, trying to make sure every show not only had the best music, but at the same time it had the best visuals, atmosphere when they enter in. So I'm curious to know, when you were at that age and trying to create something like that, did some of that information or that type of passion translate into the Odyssey series?
That's a great question, and I'll give you a little bit of a small, quick story about me starting as a DJ. It's funny. I was a dweeb in high school, we all music producers are, to be honest. None of us have ever been cool. We're still not. To be good to be a prank. But I was 15, and I went on this cruise. And there was this DJ that was playing on the boat, and I started to I was oh, this is actually pretty cool. And after the cruise, I kind of kept going to that club over and over again. And I got home and I told my mom, hey, can I save up and buy a controller and start figure out this DJ thing.
A MIDI controller.
Small controller. I went to the fucking Apple store to get it. It was a Vestax Spin.
Oh, wow.
That was my first controller.
That's throwback.
But what's bittersweet and almost serendipitous in a way is that about 12, 13 years later, on that exact boat, I played on Groove Cruise. That exact boat where I learned how to DJ, and that's where I met Blank and Nurko and all the guys that I look up to, and they finally considered me almost like a peer, and that was a revolutionary point. So as soon as I realized hey, maybe I do have a little bit of talent, I wanted to translate that by bringing in people that are infinitely more talented than I, like VNDETTA over here, who honestly is probably one of the best producers coming up. So you're gonna see a lot of shit from him. Bringing and showcasing people like that, and then also using the platform of oh yeah, I'm happy to turn 30 today, so you should all come out and come to the show and support it. So that's a little bit of a backstory. It was really cool to see that.
That's amazing to hear, and of course, I'm so happy when it was a full circle moment for you, to be on that Groove Cruise, the same boat when you first learned how to DJ, first had a MIDI controller.
I even went to the same club. I looked around. I'm like, holy shit, this is Spinnaker Lounge. I remember those CDJs.
Wow.
They still had the shitty 2000s, not even NX2s.
And so it was almost full circle nostalgia for you, and especially that having that moment to be on the group cruise and have those interactions with some of the big artists. You mentioned Midas, you mentioned Nurko, you mentioned all these incredible people out there. You mentioned Blank. So I'm curious to know, this question for you and to you, when it comes to getting at a certain level and then interacting with some of these big time artists at the time, like did you think did you deserve to be on that stage, bless the stage with your music? Because it's kind of big shoes to fill. For you, it was working with Midas, Music NYC, and other places as well. For you, it was when you first had your first show as Vendetta at Arbor Hammer, the Waiting for Love tour.
That's right. Research, Charlie. He knows it. You would agree, and I think most artists at our level, and I say our level very with a grain of salt, because I don't even consider myself on his level because he's that good, but would you probably agree there's a lot of imposter syndrome going around? They're friends first, but like comparing ourselves to them as artists, or even just being on their lineups as support or any of those things, we're just this is a dream come true.
Yeah, right? It is, and I can speak to that. And it's funny you say that. So Nurko, Jack, good friend of mine, he was kind of the first big artist to take me under his wing when I started in 2020 during COVID, and I look up to him so much, but at the same time he's like a friend. He's someone I want to be there for, and it's funny, I'm actually playing as a special guest on his tour tomorrow in Charlotte.
He's flying out from tonight.
Yeah, I don't
tomorrow
know
morning like a crazy person from the airport. You're going down to North Carolina and coming all the way back the next day. It's insane.
Yeah, but it's I'm so honored, and it's always just it's humbling, you know what I mean? It's humbling to be able to perform with these guys that I look up to, and people that I could genuinely call as friends now. And it's I'm filled with gratitude from it, and I think that's the biggest thing that I could take away is just gratitude for all of it, because not everybody gets to do this at all. And
I have a question for him based on what he said. Have you ever been? There was this term coined early on. Have you ever been in the fan zone? It's like the friend zone, but you're a fan and you try to get over the hump of I'm a fan of your music, but I'm also a peer and a colleague. And
yes.
Have you ever had that?
Absolutely. So
I have too.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I kind of had to be in that zone many a times when I want to do stuff like this and have people to speak to and hear their stories, because it's one thing to I say all the time, it's one thing to be a fan and be on the stage watching your favorite art, to be oh my gosh, we love you so much, we love you Blank, we love you Nurko, we love you Midas, oh my god. It's another thing to really rewind, turn back the clock and really see how they began, see how they truly got to where they are now, because people talk about how big they are, shout out their name, how amazing they are at the time. But let's say, for example, Midas, people love the Unity tour. They were there for that tour. Were you there when he made Born? Were you there when he made Foundations? Were you there when he made all that stuff? Because that's where it all began with me when I first heard him. So I'm just using him as an example.
Kind of wild that he was here tonight too, right?
I was gonna say he's here tonight.
It's just a really insane people is that just Midas walking around? He came to our show to watch us play.
And I'm not gonna lie, for me especially, I think the biggest moment for that was when I got the Hollow remix last year and DABIN.
How did that feel? I just received. Well, here's the thing. Well, speaking on that part, you mentioned the Hollow, DABIN, Low Spirit. That's pretty incredible too. We gotta add on to that, along with one of our guests out there, the Sad Boys, having their remix of Other Side with them and Neo. You had your remix with Nothing Ever After with Illenium at the same time as well. Not to mention, you were the one who egged them on to make a remix for Illenium, and now both of you are on that 5th album remix package. Have to ask, how it feels how to interact with two huge artists, DABIN and Illenium, and have remixes for them.
It was beyond anything I ever done, especially DABIN. So there was a time in my life in 2018 before I produced, I was just getting into EDM. DABIN and Set the Skies song, Superstar.
Oh, I thought it was Hero for a second.
Almost. It was before Hero.
Okay.
But that song pretty much saved my life at the time. And when I got the DM from DABIN, about the Hollow remix, I was I wanted to almost thank him, because I'm dude, I'm still here because of you and your art. Same thing with Illenium, Free Fall was a song around that time that got me through a hard time.
E-Wake album.
It was the same thing, how I got the remix. I posted on Twitter, got the email from Millennium's team, and I'm just like, this is like the crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was so like, and it wasn't even that it was validating. It was more like I was just so grateful, and I was like, I'm so lucky, you know. And I was just filled with like, yeah, there was a bit of that fanboy, but I would just say the gratitude was just like off the charts. And you know, and I've been able to build a relationship with DABIN especially, and like I'm just so grateful. That's all I can say about it. Like, it's incredible.
So now tying back to something that relates to the two of you, both of you have one thing when I was doing my research in common, that both of you had to, like, you know, upgrade yourselves to a higher calling to, like, really make yourselves, like, well known and, like, have a name that's, like, you know, representative not only who you are, but also where you want your career to go. For you was from Infinite to Nikita Page. For you, we'll know exactly what your name was at the time, but we do know that there was definitely a transformation, because if we read this little message right here, as this year comes to a close, this is 2021, I wanted to reflect and say I haven't been active on the page. That was Twitter, but for good reason. I've been moving in silence and I've been putting my head down.
There's no hanging out in here.
We're not doing an interview.
I get that. There's no hanging out in here.
You got it. Understood. We'll move back in there. Thanks for a second. That we are back again. So yeah, we got a bit kicked out. That's fine. So as I was saying, back to your little note here. Active it all on the page on Twitter, or should I say X, screw you Elon Musk. But anyway, I've been moving in silence and I've been putting my head down, working tirelessly this past year on this project to both level up my craft, but more importantly, to make sure my music truly reaches people in a real and genuine way. Collaboration with people I never thought possible, that have been more importantly turned into beautiful friendships. Songs that I turn into genuine stories and have accompanied my collaborators' hearts that will help for people in their own lives. This project is about me, it's about you. And I can't wait for you to come with me on this journey together. I'm just curious to know, so when you became VNDETTA, what made you say I want to change and become this brand new version of myself with these collaborators to really make music you want and really touch people's hearts in your own way through the music?
I think it's always been for me like about my story and my own life, that I want to see people that, you know, because like as human beings we're always going to go through like tough times, right, and very dark things. And in my own life, and the reason I'm even here, like beautiful things do come from like the darkest and worst places sometimes. And I think a lot of people fail to see that, you know, nowadays. And electronic music has always been a space historically where it is that light in a dark place, right? And I feel like especially nowadays, you know, with the rise of social media and short form content, there's been like a lot of loss in the meaning of music in general. And my goal is to like bring that back. Like I want to bring back true like meaning and raw emotion in music that can genuinely connect with people where it's not at a surface level. And I think, you know, VNDETTA is almost like an oxymoron in that case. You know, it's like I have a vendetta against like what the music industry's become, what society's become, and I want to like help be that change, part of that change. And it's not just about me, it's about people who are listening to my music, coming to my shows, the community that I want to build around this. And it's everybody collectively that I think is what causes change. So that's kind of like, and I think this year especially is where I really went through a lot of changes in life and in my music career, and it really made me realize, like, you know, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do in order to accomplish this. Build this community of people, and then that will be the change. So that's kind of like, I guess, where I truly understood the meaning, you know, not just behind the name, but the message that I'm trying to get across, if that makes sense.
Understood. It definitely makes sense, and I'm very curious to know, like, tagging on to that, so how would you, you know, talk about your music, or do you have other ways to, like, really still keep the heart and soul if you want to, like, you know, spread brand new music of your project without, like, you know, having to follow the algorithm, having to forcibly make short form content to like push your name out there if you want to really create a vendetta in that regard?
Yeah, I think there's different ways that you can do it, and like I think the main thing with the short form content, and I feel like so many producers, including myself, struggled with this, and like it's why I really haven't put out content yet. It's like a lot of people aren't being themselves. And I feel like the way you're really going to connect with other people is showing them who you are through the short form content. So that's why I just haven't put anything out yet, because I'm trying to figure out how I can show people who, you know, not even VNDETTA, who Charlie, me as a person is. And then through that, you know, because that's where ultimately the music flows from. And if I could show people through, you know, these 10 to 15 second clips who I am as a person through the music, you know, I feel like they go hand in hand. I feel like that, and it's not going to just happen overnight. You know, this stuff like is trial and error, but I think ultimately, if you look at the most successful artists, you know, if you look at someone like VNDETTA or, you know, somebody like that, I feel like he built his fan base because he showed people who he was, you know, as a person. And obviously his music's incredible and it reflects so much of who he is as a person. But he was really able to connect with those people because he showed people who he was, you know, earlier, you know, like in 2020 through like the Twitch streams, and then, you know, through videos and like the Instagram
cooking challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I was a part of.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I feel like that's the main thing, showing people like who you are as a person, and if you can put that into the music somehow, which, you know, the way I produce my music, it has things from my own life. Like, I'm influenced, like Linkin Park is like one of my favorite artist band of all time. So much of that influence in my music, the sounds that I use, you know, like.
It's a great time for Linkin Park fans, right?
Yeah, exactly. Great time for Linkin Park fans. Yeah. They're coming back. But yeah, like stuff like that, like the sounds I use, you know. I'm working on a big EP right now where I'm writing on the vocals and the lyrics, co-writing with the vocalists, and we're writing about real things that have happened in my life, you know, that, you know, it may not be completely literal, but it's things that people are going to relate to because they're going through the same thing. So in a nutshell though, I think it's, the main thing is show people who you are as a person, you know, and it's not even coming down to their level, it's just being real. And I think if you do that, then, you know, you can't really go wrong. So.
Understood. A really amazing answer. Thank you so much, VNDETTA. Now for Nikita Page, why did you change from Infinite to Nikita Page?
Well, the Infinite thing wasn't, I mean, I dropped that like, God, probably like 10 years ago. So it's been a long time. No, so like, I will give you a little bit of a background. So I'm probably one of the longer term DJs. So most of my friends that are producers who have been producing for a while, I've been DJing for 15 plus years.
Yep. The Mixcloud says there was proof of the pudding.
Yeah, there was a time where the industry was a little bit different, and DJs could actually like make it pretty decently big without having to make music. Making mixes, shit like that. And it was a time, you know, the mixtape, you know, SoundCloud, everyone was, you know, so that was a time I played I did Spring Break in Cancun and Puerto Vallarta, like you know, they were fun shows. There was a point that the industry got very dark, and I think, you know, everyone can relate how, as much as a lot of us fellow artists pull each other up, there's a lot of other people in the industry that pull you down. And one of the things, you know, for me at least, you know, there were people that really like kind of said, oh, unless you start producing, you won't make it won't be a bit, you know, like, so it kind of kicked me out of the scene for a while. So I just like literally quit music for 2-3 years. Then I went to Tomorrowland for the first time and found my love for music again. I came back, immediately said I wanted to like start making music. Started taking lessons with some of my like mentors, and they started teaching me some amazing things. And now I'm so happy to announce that we are launching my project finally, my first tunes, you know, in the next couple of months. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. For the first time, those people who always said, like, oh, you'll never make it big in the industry unless you release music. Well, fuck you, I'm releasing music. So, you know, here we are.
And they're really good songs.
And people like Charlie only make them better because, you know, they hear things that I just can't, and the songs are coming out well. We got our guy over here, you can't see him on camera, Manno. He kills it on the vocals. Like, you know, I am just a medium for the story that the lyricists are always telling me. Charlie and I were talking about this earlier, how like we're producers and we do tell our own story in the way that we make music, but at the end of the day, it's the vocals and the words and the top lines that we get that guide the direction of the songs. And we're pretty careful with the top lines that we pick, or like the people that we work with, because we also have to tell a story. So it's a combination of those two things that make the music great. and they tell your story, your obstacles, the dark moments in your life, and then you have another person singing about them or singing about something that in their life, but it alludes to the story that you're trying to tell as well.
Absolutely.
And altogether, I think that's why I'm so excited to release my tunes, because I think they're going to tell a story, and I'm excited in the next few months to put some tunes out.
Understood. Now, tagging on to that, this is a question for both of you again, regarding how I can see and really hear how important lyrics, how like top lines, how vocalists really are to you. Is there like an example of any artist that you enjoy listening to whose vocals or top lines really blew you away, or the lyricism of the story?
Is it Shannon Later for you and Annika Wells? Because that's what it is for me.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier.
we had a conversation.
Annika and Chandler, I think, they're the best songwriters. Like it's
Annika
so
Wells
raw.
and Chandler Layton.
Yes.
Yeah. And then of course Sounder, she writes. Kate is a great friend of ours. There's this guy Manno, like he's a pretty good vocal writer over here.
Yes, right over here
too. Yeah. We have Blake Wisner who plays
Blake,
tonight.
he's here. Low Spirit for me too.
So at the end of the day, like we look up to vocalists so much, and I think they don't get enough recognition in the industry.
Nothing without.
Honestly, like I can make beats and shit, but like at the end of the day, it's
what were you doing? What were you just doing on the set right there?
Okay,
I mean, sure.
Happy birthday.
You did sing happy birthday.
Yeah, I did.
We're not like Ray Volpe, We don't have music that literally people just like sing along to. And there's no worries. Like, we do rely a lot on the lyricism and the vocals, and that's such an important part of it. That's why we make melodic bass, and we have we the tempo and drum bass.
And for me especially, like, because a lot of people, especially from the hollow rooms, are like, oh yeah, he makes. I'm like, I don't consider myself a dubstep artist. I use dubstep to illustrate a certain emotion in my music. So like, my song with Lynn in the Shadow is like that heavy drop is supposed to illustrate like someone going through like very bad mental like gymnastics in that song. And on the EP that I'm writing, there's a whole track where it's like there's 2 dubstep drops, a hard techno drop, and like that's also supposed to represent like someone who's just so angry and they're running away from like their problems. It's like I use those subgenres to communicate a certain emotion rather than just making it to make it. And that's just for me how I enjoy creating the most, and it's different for everybody, which is the beautiful thing about music. So absolutely.
Understood. And I also gotta give a huge shout out to as well like a few other vocalists who I'm surprised you didn't talk about. I got to talk about Run, particularly the song Dabbin Alive.
Oh man.
And that's like one song I know like is one of Dabbin's magnum opuses. And I feel like even with that song, like Run, incredible vocalist obviously, but for him he had doubts because people would think, do people really want to listen to a 6.5 minute song? Because like people think, oh, these sort of like melodic songs or dubstep songs have like these 3 minutes or shorter, or like it has to at this level.
It's so funny you say that because we really were talking about this earlier. We were talking about Kygo, somebody that like we don't really talk about in the bass scene, but he's an amazing producer. Obviously Firestone.
It's Kygo.
Yeah, it's Kygo. But you have
It's
Firestone, which everybody knows, everybody loves. But we were talking about how much we love Freeze. Freeze is like an 8-minute song. And it takes you on a journey, and it doesn't matter about the length of the song, it doesn't matter how commercial it is, if it resonates with the person listening to it, if it takes you to a place, and it takes you to another place, and another place, and another place, it doesn't matter, you could be there for an hour. Music, and for the same exact reason that we can be here for an hour talking about all the vocalists that we love, right? It's not about the quantity or the length or any of that. At the end of the day, if it means something to you, that's all we try to do.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that is what's most important. Now, regarding back to the Odyssey and regarding the back to the back-to-back with Nikita Page and VNDETTA, and of course, and especially Adam Ward again. Like I always give him a shout out to Adam Ward. Incredible job with the guitar work.
So good.
Will there be a Nikita Page and VNDETTA set in the future again?
I'm down.
I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't. I feel like it was cool because this is the first time we ever played together at all.
Yeah.
We've talked music and shop for years at this point.
Yeah.
But you don't know. And I said this to him right after the set. You don't know what the chemistry is like until right after the set. And we were just bouncing up there, moving around each other. Like we knew there was. And look, we we were prepping the set till the very last second, and so we didn't actually have like a full run through together.
No, we didn't.
That was literally
I ran
all
through
just
by myself.
Yeah, he ran through it. I ran through it by myself.
Practice on the keyboard.
Yeah, so we all came together, and like that was just energy that was really, really cool. And I hope that we do.
So majority of this like very first set was pretty much impromptu.
Well, it's not impromptu in the sense.
I know it was preparation, of course. Like you know, if you don't like, it's a classic saying. Like if you don't prepare, what was it? If you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
Right.
That's basically how it goes.
Exactly.
That's how it is.
Right.
Well, so that's basically the quote there. So you did prepare,
Yes.
and obviously you didn't fail. But there are certain parts where it's like you can't like really train for it. You have to really be in the moment for it to truly unleash and everything to kind of come together. Reason why you guys talk about chemistry all the time, because that's the most important.
Yeah. And we had to audible a lot tonight, and most people probably don't even know because they see the set and that happens to a lot of artists. They see the set like, wow, that was such a well planned, well executed set. And you're like, you don't know how many bells and whistles you have to go through. One CDJ didn't work.
They had to switch one out.
So we were just going all over the place, but it's with that. If you don't have that kind of chemistry or that kind of crowd control or awareness of what's happening and how to get past it, like that's where that comes into play the most. Right?
Understood. Now regarding to the final question, which is, you kind of already answered it a tiny bit, but if you can maybe tell us a tiny bit more, what's next for Nikita Page? What's next for Vendetta? You mentioned the EP. You mentioned your very first tunes. I feel like if anything, we could definitely bring Manno in, because I definitely want to hear about this brand new song, Manno. You can come in now, if you'd like. So we're basically now talking about what's next for Nikita Page, what's next
I'll
for
go
Vendetta.
first simply because their stuff is more exciting. So I'll just get my stuff quickly out of the way. And their stuff is just like, I'm catching up, but their stuff is so much more exciting. It's wild because everybody knows this. You Google Nikita Page, or you go on Spotify and you Google Nikita Page, and there's nothing. I don't have any music release, so I'm so excited to say that we have tunes coming out very, very, very soon. They're done. They're finally mix and master. They're ready to go. They're hitting the labels. So I'm excited to launch those tunes. Finally build up my portfolio, play more shows with people like this, and then we of course got Groove Cruise in January that I'm super excited for.
In 2025.
2025.
And for Vendetta, you mentioned your EP as well, but will this be more like an independent EP, or will this be with a label?
It'll be with a label. There's several that have shown some interest. We're not exactly sure or set yet. It's kind of like who's going to do the most for it and who wants to support me as an artist the most, I think that's really important for other artists to consider too. You want someone in your corner that's really going to support you and push you.
Absolutely.
So we're just kind of taking our time with it. I think that was the biggest thing I learned this year. Take all the time you need. Great art, can't be rushed. And that's what we're doing with this. And all the right people have fallen into place that I'm working with on it. I am in a good mental space now to be writing the music. And it's telling a story and it's giving a message. Because that was the main thing. It's if I'm going to write a body of work like this, it needs to say something to somebody. It needs to speak to somebody. Otherwise, it's in vain, for me at least. So that was important, and it took time for me to get into that place to be able to do that. So we obviously have that. I just premiered a remix for Mirko and Halion tonight. So good. That's coming out at some point. If you're going to see Mirko on his tour, you'll hear it in his set. We got that, and I got some really, really cool collabs in the works with some bigger artists, which I'm going to keep that on the hush-hush right now, but you will be seeing that.
They're amazing.
You'll be seeing that over the next year as well. So really exciting, bigger artists, but they're all people that I genuinely can consider friends too. And that is honestly the most beautiful thing about it, just creating with my friends. So.
Understood. And for Nikita Page, how about the little collaboration with Manno?
I got one thing. So I believe that these guys are the future of EDM, because when I came into EDM, I wasn't an EDM artist. I was a pop vocalist. I was a writer.
Right.
I'm even doing country and folk and all that stuff. And
crazy range.
The translation into the meaningfulness and what how they bring their lives and their struggles into their music is something that obviously has happened before in this genre. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. Working with these artists, like, it has been refreshing. It's been real. It's been therapy, right? Like we do this for that. I believe that every artist comes into music for that. And when you like connect with certain people, it really translates into the music. And one of my favorite tracks I've ever done is with Birthday Boy right now. I'm being very serious. Like it's so meaningful, and it's the hardest part of my life that I wrote this song that translated from a beautiful guitarist from England, and he brought it together, and you know
that song brought us together.
And truthfully, I think it translates, and it will translate, and I think this is the future. I think that the future of EDM is real Instagram and TikTok posts, not making producers and artists feel awkward. Like, you know, very much like yourself, like being your real, genuine self and interviewing artists, right? I want to give that back to you. I think that everyone wants to give that back to you, and I think that's what social media should be.
And to add on to that, pretty much like the cycle continues, because everything regarding this here has just been a way of me trying to give back to people like you and everyone else in the industry, because I said to myself, I'm giving back to you. I'll take back what you said right there. Let me just squeeze right in here. This is basically all out of passion. It's just a way of me wanting to give back to an industry, to a genre that has basically saved my life and basically has kept me breathing, kept me going. So for you to say you're doing something like this, we're giving this back to you. It's basically a never-ending cycle. If you give, it's a never-ending cycle of whatever energy you deliver, and it's something, and it's not just something like, you know, regarding like what I'm doing and regarding what they're doing in their music. It's in real life.
We're creating a synergy together.
Right. Whatever you deliver into the world is what you're gonna get back. You deliver positivity, you're gonna get that back. You deliver negativity, you're gonna get that back. Yeah. And someone like me who has been in a world, has been introduced to a genre that is filled with so much melodies that really healed me, my heart, my soul. It's just my way of just saying to those people who created those type of melodies, who created the kind of music, my way of saying thank you by giving this, by doing stuff like this. So,
and may I say, we love you. And we will always have the time for you in this industry.
LJ, I think something that you didn't mention, and I guess like everybody here knows if you follow this guy. When I played my first New York show, I see you in the corner there dancing, like we're living vicariously through you as you're going up there doing all those. And I'm like, I wish that I resonated with that song as much as he did, and that means a lot to us.
Right, that was my very first, the Maya show and Musica was my very first ever show. Like, you know, seeing Nikita Page,
that was my first
seeing Remke, so seeing Midas, because I was there to interview Remke, but the reason why I really like Musica MIC, the particular venue, was because there was a section where people can step in, like that type of thing. I was seeing people go in there, but no one was really encapsulating the space or even really respecting the music that's being played. So I'm like, you know what? If no one's gonna use this space,
it's gonna be me.
It might as well be me. So there I am, like, you know, like
you have every right to do that, bro.
So I was
honestly like,
and that we feed off that energy, man. We see that. I saw you dancing in our center, doing crazy things. And I'm like, I want to do crazy things, and then he's doing crazy things.
Because it's, for me, it's like I'm a person who, like, this ties back to like what you said about the whole short form content, being yourself and embracing yourself. Because for someone like me, I interact with music in a different way than everyone else. People might be all cramped together on the rail. They can headbang, they can jump, they can bounce. It's all well and good. But for someone like me, if I really do enjoy a group of artists or a certain type of music, I'm going to really let it ball up inside me and then unleash it in a way that is me.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
Every artist that you've ever listened to has that moment, and they've done that. And everything you just described, we've all done that, and we've all had that moment, and we've all let go, and we've been that person. And it's great to see you be the person to live that journey and then talk to us.
Understood.
Absolutely.
And I just wish
It's all love.
and I just wish that more and more people can really embrace that themselves. Because I remember one time I was talking to one of the artists I was interviewing. I think it was Lily Jane. No one really had the guts or the balls to really let the music truly take over themselves. I remember reading one comment when I was reacting to the Trifecta remix of Alive. When he remixed it, I was just like freestyle dancing to it. And someone literally said like in the comments like, you are all jealous that this man has the guts to do what no one else is willing to do or post online, because be like unaware of what people will think about this. Like, is he like on drugs? Is he like this? Is he that? Yeah. No, it's just me being me unapologetically, and that's what should truly matter.
And that's artistry. That's called artistry.
That's your own artistry right there.
And this is what these gentlemen are. I promise you on my life.
And this guy.
They're artists as well. He's the artist as well. I'm an artist. We're all artists. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please keep an eye on these incredible artists. You have Manno with Nikita Page, with Sad Boys, Romeo and Juliet. You have VNDETTA with
LJ,
and you have me as well.
Right here.
Thank you guys so much again for watching this video. We truly appreciate you guys so much for watching and listening. This is Nikita Page. This is VNDETTA. This is Manno. This is Lumber Jr. signing out. Love you guys so much. Peace.